After 2 years of living abroad, here's the best place that you should move to if you're a young person looking to move abroad in 2026. I'm going to be comparing Southeast Asia to South America, prices for rent, cost of living, general culture, and the vibe. Over the past 2 years, I've left the UK, built an online business, and literally traveled the world. Over the last year, across the last 10 months, I have visited 8 different countries and I've lived in 3 different continents. I'll be letting you know exactly where the best places to go this year coming up. Let's go. So let's list them out. What countries have I been to? How was my experience? What would I rate them overall, right? So I started off this year living in Thailand. For those of you who don't know, I actually left the UK to move to Thailand February 2024. I stayed until March this year, 2025. So I stayed there for about 13 months, right? Thailand was good. I'd say that Thailand is very much a big hotspot. Every single person who wants to go on holiday speaks about Thailand. Oh, I want to go Bangkok. Oh, I want to go Phuket. I want to go Koh Samui. And for that reason, it has some pros for sure, from a networking, meeting people, and a lot of stuff to do with Thai culture, which would be really good if you're someone who's relocating there from the West. But at the same time, there's also some not so good stuff, which I will be telling you about later on in the video. Then after that, I left Thailand. I moved to Brazil. I was living in Rio de Janeiro for about 4.5 months. That was absolutely amazing. Culture is so rich there. I'm going to get into the specific pros, cons, and things you need to look out for if you're thinking of going there either to live or on holiday. After that, I spent a few days break. I had my first holiday of the year. I went to Miami South Beach, stayed there for about 6 days, had a great time. The vibe was really strong. They got a really big sense of hunger for success, and it's definitely an amazing place if you are looking to kind of relocate out there or be there for a short term just to lock in and, you know, really just grind and put in the work. That's the energy you get in Miami. Then after that, I went to the Caribbean. My family's from the Caribbean. I'm from a small island called St. Kitts and Nevis. It has less than 1 million people on the island. Amazing time for me. It was so local because obviously my family's from there. That's where my whole culture's from. Eating good food every day. The vibe was just amazing. And being in the Caribbean, if you've been to the Caribbean, you will know that the vibe is just unmatched. It's almost inexplainable to describe the feeling that you get just being able to wake up on the islands, really living that island relaxed life, hearing reggae every single day. It's just a different vibe. After St. Kitts for 2 weeks, I went back to the UK for just a day. Now, I don't have anything positive to say about the UK. I'm letting you know now. So if you are tied to the UK, you're not going to want to hear what I'm going to say. The UK, absolute shithole. There's a reason why I relocated out of there almost 2 years ago, and I have no intentions of going back. But at least I got to see my family, which is a pro. After that, me and my business partner at the time decided to go to Portugal. We relocated there together for 6 weeks. We got an office in the heart of Lisbon. We were staying in an area called Cascais, which was really nice. They had a lot of historical things that you could go and do there. And overall, the weather there was really good. And it is about 20 to 30% cheaper compared to the UK. After my stint in Portugal, back to Thailand for another 6 weeks. Went there for health reasons mainly. You know, blood tests, got my teeth done, things like that. Because healthcare in Thailand is definitely one of the top in the whole world. It is really good. If you don't know, you should definitely look into it yourself. And then after that, I went to Da Nang. I stayed in Da Nang, Vietnam for 3 weeks. Stupid cheap. If you're looking for somewhere which is cheap and cheerful, Da Nang is your place. It's got all of the beach clubs, that type of tropical vibe that you need. You're gonna be eating food for less than $3 to $5 per day. Like, it's really just a laugh. Like, there's not a real big networking scene out there in Da Nang, just as of yet, because I'd say it's an emerging country where people are kind of relocating to as and when they choose to leave Thailand, to be honest with you. So the tourism's definitely on the rise. However, I wouldn't say it has the best networking factor. But in the same breath, it is an amazing place if you want to go and visit there. For me personally, I couldn't go and live there. I actually couldn't see myself living long term again in Asia, but I'll get onto that in a second as well. And at the time of you watching this video right now, I would have just landed in Brazil. So you'll see in my next video, I'll be doing a vlog my first week in Brazil as well. The reason I decided to come back to Brazil is because Brazil is just an amazing country. It's the largest country in South America. It's literally full and jam-packed with culture, and it really just resonates with me. And I definitely could see myself being at home here and finding a home here, you know, and staying here for an actual good few years and a long amount of time. So despite me visiting all of these different countries across this year alone, I'm only going to be comparing this video on the pros and cons versus Thailand and Brazil. The reason why I'm going to be doing that is because I've actually lived there. It's not really fair for me to compare living in Brazil to just visiting Da Nang. It's not really fair for me to compare living in Thailand to me visiting Miami for 4 days. You know, living somewhere for a year versus visiting for 6 days, it's not really the same. So I'm not gonna base my judgment off of that. So cool, Thailand and Brazil. So let's start off with Thailand. What are some of the pros of Thailand as a country and reasons why you should choose to go and relocate out there? If you're in your 20s or you're a young person looking to start to, you know, your network, be independent, start making money online, Thailand is literally one of the biggest hotspots in the world for young and emerging entrepreneurs. Why did I move to Thailand? I moved to Thailand because I knew it was cheap, it was affordable, right? And I wanted to start my entrepreneurship journey, but I didn't want to have a high cost of living because I literally moved out of there on savings. I've said this multiple times in other videos. If you're looking to move abroad full time, do not move off savings. Do not do what I've done. I've learned from mistakes, but as a result of that, I built an online business, so I'm not where I was, but that's besides the point. All I'm saying to you is if you're looking to move abroad, you need to have an active source of online income every single month before you decide to go and move. Don't focus on what you have, focus on what's coming in every single month. Anyways, Thailand is a great place to go if you're looking to build a solid network. So I've lived out of the 30 months that I was living there, I probably did about 6.5 to 7 months consecutively living in Bangkok. Being in a big city, very affordable, lots of networking spots, lots of people to meet. It's just a hub to meet people. You'll just end up going to the gym or going out or going to Terminal 21 and you just end up bumping into someone who's probably doing something similar to you. That's what the vibe is like in Thailand. Everybody's making content. A lot of people, I can't say all, but a lot of people are trying to improve themselves and use Thailand as a foundation to grow and to build as they've now stepped into this new online space and as they stepped into, the global space in terms of living abroad and actually being a travelpreneur. Another pro of Thailand is that, like I said, it's very affordable, it's very cheap. When I was doing my research and I moved to Thailand in February 2024, I found from my research that Thailand can be up to 50% cheaper than living in the UK full time. I was living in the UK working a job. I used to get paid £32,000 British per year. So that's about 24 grand a year after tax. So per month after tax, I was only probably making about 2 grand, literally £2,050. For me, living in the UK, making 2 grand a month compared to me making 2 grand a month living in Thailand, again, this is very subjective. It all comes down to lifestyle design. Don't come in my comments being like, oh yeah, mate, I lived in Thailand and I spent 10 grand in a week. That's you. I'm just giving a general rule of thumb. I'm being subjective here. You can have a better quality of living for the same £2,000 in Thailand than you would in the UK. That's just a fact. Everybody knows that. Living in the West, America, Australia, Canada, UK, compared to coming to Southeast Asia, Thailand, Bali, Vietnam, you're laughing. Like for the exact same money, even if your income doesn't increase, you'll just get a better quality of living, right? The quality of the place where you will stay is going to be much higher for the same price, if not less cheaper compared to what you would get in the UK. In the UK, I was living at my mum's house and I was paying my mum £500 a month for rent. That same £500 plus an extra 50, that same £550 a month in rent got me a high-rise apartment in the heart of Bangkok on the 23rd floor, which had a jacuzzi, which had a big ass swimming pool on the 37th floor. It had a sauna that I could use anytime. It had a gym built inside. It had a small supermarket downstairs. It had everything that I could want. It had a nice view, a work desk, everything that I would have wanted. Got myself a nice little one bed. I was living that kind of, cosmopolitan, early stage entrepreneurship life living in Bangkok. So for that reason, from a cost perspective, I'd give Thailand a pro, and it's good when you think about the amount of money that you can save or the value you get in exchange for the money that you pay. Another pro of Thailand is that it's a very diverse country. So like I lived 6 months in Bangkok, but then I also equally have lived in Koh Samui, which is an island. And that is like a night and day difference. Living in Koh Samui definitely made me realize that the South is, for me personally, a lot better. Phuket, Koh Samui, places like that. I'd rather live there than I actually would in Bangkok or towards the north, which is Chiang Mai. The north of Thailand is definitely going to be a lot more colder compared to the south as well. But in the south, things are a little bit more expensive. It's probably about 20% more expensive compared to Bangkok, I would even say, especially the north, because the north is the cheapest part. Another pro about living in Thailand is that a lot of people who I've spoken to in my network as well, we all just agree that Thailand's just easy. Well, maybe not so easy now, but in general rule of thumb, Thailand is just an easy country. Once you're in Thailand, like right now, it's like 9 a.m. I'm making a video. If I decided to go and order food, I could be here eating this food in like 19 minutes. I could have someone come and deliver this food to me via Grab or these other delivery apps, and it'll cost me like $3 to get me like a bowl of, chicken and rice or rice, beef and eggs, something that is moderately healthy, but it's very cheap, very affordable, and it's very just convenient. If I could describe Thailand in one word, it would literally just be that. Thailand is convenient. Another pro as well about Thailand, which I actually forgot that I wanted to mention, is the language barrier. Don't get it twisted. When I first moved to Thailand, I was adamantly trying to learn how to speak Thai, because I was like, if I'm gonna live here for the rest of my life, I thought I was gonna be here forever, I should learn Thai, And don't get it twisted. You have a lot of pros, obviously, being able to speak the native language of the country you're living in. So don't think that you should be an ignorant person who moves to all these countries and doesn't want to learn the basic language of the place you're in. But in the same breath, because Thailand is the #1 most visited country in the world, basically you can get away with just only speaking English. Like majority of Thai people can speak some level of Tinglish, where they can mix in a couple Sawadee Cats with a hi, how are you? They can understand your English for the most part. It does make it easier for someone looking to relocate there if they are not looking to be a native Thai speaker. But at the same time, I'd always recommend just go and learn a language of the place you're going to stay in. It'll just be easier for you. But you can get away with it compared to other countries like Brazil, which I'll talk about in a second. So what are the cons of living in Thailand, right? So for me personally, I'll be straight and honest, and I'm not even going to hold back because I've lived in Thailand for a long while. The first con about Thailand, right, is sex tourism. Let's actually talk about it. Let's have this conversation. Thailand is also, right, a big place, hotspot for sex tourism. You get all these seedy old people, these 40 to 60 year olds, these average Steves with a beer belly who had one failed marriage, who just end up moving to Pattaya and just be going with any 17 to 20 year old Thai girl. In Thailand, I'll be very honest and say, as much as it is a beautiful country and Thai people are very nice, they look at a lot of foreigners, not all, but a lot of foreigners, as just cash, just money. Like that is, it's very, I get the vibe, and I've lived in Thailand for over a year, so I say this based off being an informed person, right? Thailand can be a very transactional country. No money, no honey. Like, it can be a very transactional country, right? And what I mean by saying that is that if you are a foreigner, if you don't have money to spend, but what I am saying is that a lot of Thai people will just look at you from the lens of, this is a foreigner, this is a Phalang, he has money, how can I extract his money? I'm not saying that you're gonna be treated like a trick. I'm not saying that people are gonna try and play you, or that a random Thai person is gonna come and run game on you. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying in general, they will just look at you a lot, not every person, a lot of people will just look at you like, oh, this is a foreigner, this is a Phalang, he has money. How can I extract money from him? Taxi drivers will sometimes take the piss. You'll go into certain shops, you know, sometimes at local markets and that, and people will sometimes try and take the piss and take advantage as well. You have to know game. If you're looking to move abroad and live in different countries aside from Thailand, you need to have backbone, bro. You can't just be a weak person, because your pockets will just get ran through easily because you don't know how to say no. And you're here trying to help people and like support people, and people will take that kindness for weakness and just overly extort you for stupid stuff. Now, obviously, let's be contextual and let's be subjective. Majority of the stuff you're going to be paying for, if I go to a local market, I'm going to be charged like, what, $1.50 for a mango, and that person might try and charge me $3 for a mango. So in the grand scheme of things, it's not that deep. But if you are living somewhere every single day and you kind of have that same, you're just a tourist, even though you've lived here for a while, I still see you as a tourist, I'm still gonna try and get as much back from you as possible. Sometimes it just gets a bit frustrating. Even if it is a little $2, $5, obviously it's $5, like who cares? But in the same breath, when you're kind of faced with that every single day, it can be a bit frustrating. And that's part of the reason why I decided to leave Thailand. The second reason why I decided to leave is the whole visa situation. Like, you know how many people that I know personally, right, who have lived in Thailand for 1 to 3 years, then over the past 6 months or so, since they introduced a lot more stricter visa regulations, all these people have just left all countries within the same region, like Vietnam, Bali, right? Singapore, Malaysia. Thailand, I would say, is kind of doing itself a disservice because Thailand is trying to get a lot more stricter with its visa regulations and say no to more people, which is only going to hurt its tourism economy. Like, if you actually do your research, since the earthquake, and I made a video of me vlogging after leaving the earthquake, since me leaving, or since the earthquake, let's just say, it's got nothing to do with me, since the earthquake, Thailand's tourism has fallen quite a bit. You can go and do your own research as well, right? And the reason being is for 2 reasons. Number one, they're making it more difficult for people to stay. What was once a haven for people coming from the West to come and live an easy life in Thailand is now them having to jump through several different hurdles just to be able to obtain a visa that says that they can stay and they have the legal rights to stay in the country for a prolonged amount of time. Even if you just go on Instagram and search up Thailand detention center or Thailand refused visa, you'll go and find a list of different people making content, documenting their life at the airport being denied entry into Thailand, right? And they end up having to sleep in a detention center for like a day or 2. This is not false news. I'm not spreading false information. Go and do your research. Don't be in the comments bare emotional. Go and do your research based off the things that I'm saying, and you will see and find out and verify this for yourself. That is another reason why I personally decided to leave living in Thailand, because it just got to a point where it's like, bro, I don't want to be going through all these different hoops and loops just to be able to stay in Thailand. Like, Thailand's a good country, but once you travel to maybe more than 5 other countries, you'll understand that Thailand is great. Thailand's got a lot of strong culture and positive stuff, but For me personally, Thailand was the first place that I relocated to. I thought, oh my God, I'm in Thailand, I've made it, I'm in heaven. But it's not like that. It's just another country that is, yes, better than the West, yes, better than the UK, and yes, it's got a better vibe and suits me more. But at the same time, it's not like the top. It's not the best thing since sliced bread. I don't think that many countries are, apart from one, which I'll talk about in a second. So in my personal opinion, the kind of buzz that I initially had when I moved to Thailand as well has very much just rubbed off. I feel like Thailand doesn't have that same, like, oh my days, like, doesn't have that same feel that it once had for me when I first moved to Thailand at the start of last year, 2024. Cool, let's talk about network. I also couldn't see myself living in Thailand again long term, because one thing I realized after living over there for so long is that you're always gonna be a tourist. Like, I don't care if you're black, blue, green, or white. I don't care where you are, where you come from, right? How much Thai you can speak. You're always gonna just be a foreigner. You're always going to be an outsider. And for me, I always say to people, what is the reason why you're going to travel the world? What is the reason you're leaving your hometown? Is it just because you wanna have a season to just live briefly in a few different countries and do the whole traveling thing? Or are you looking to actually long term, like, sink roots into a country, never have to move back and really like properly move abroad, but live your whole life in a new country? If it's the latter, for me personally, I wouldn't want to live in a country for a prolonged amount of time where I'm always going to be looked at as a foreigner. Not only am I a foreigner because, cool, I couldn't speak fluent Thai, even though I was learning, and I say that my Thai, when I was proper like at its peak learning, was a lot better than majority of other Palang that moved there. But also, I'm black. So it's like me being in Thailand, and I don't feel a way about this, but me being in Thailand is like I'm a double foreigner. I'm a foreigner because I'm a gringo, Falang, whatever, and also because I'm black, bro. I'm walking the streets, people are just looking at me. And that's another thing I don't really like. Being in some of these Asian countries where they just haven't really seen or been exposed to as many people who look like me. For me to be big, dark, sexy chocolate, walking past every day, sometimes it just gets a bit annoying, man. Like, I even have grown-ass Thai men come up to me and try and squeeze my muscles, or try and like take pictures with me, and I'm like, bro, like, chill out, man. I'm just a regular day. I'm just me. Just be normal. Jayen, like, come on, man, like, what's going on? I feel like, all jokes aside though, like, you're always just gonna be a double foreigner in Thailand if you are a black person living in Thailand. That's just the truth. And it's like that in a lot of these Asian countries. I'm not saying that all these people are racist. I'm not saying that you should never move there. I'm not saying that's a crazy place. I'm just saying, realistically, day to day, you're always just gonna have an extra look cast at you, whether it's in one of admiration or of their cut, or someone cutting an eye at you. You're always gonna just get an extra look. And for me, I don't wanna do that. I've lived my whole life like that in the UK. I'm not trying to come to a country trying to be mad respectful and people just looking at me and asking, can they touch my hair? Like, are you mad? Like, go away. With all due respect, it does get a bit annoying and frustrating. As a country, what would I rate Thailand out of 10? I would rate Thailand a strong 7.5 out of 10. If you asked me this a year ago, I would be like, yeah, 9, Thailand's the best country in the world. But generally, because of the last year and I've been able to travel to so many different countries and you can compare and you get insight into how other people live, I'd give Thailand a strong 7.5 out of 10. I do feel like Thailand has already reached its peak, and I feel like people now are not as hungry to go to Thailand generally compared to what they used to be across the last, five or so years. I feel like now the hype's kind of wearing off slowly. I'm not saying Thailand's going dead. I'm not saying no one's there. It's still the #1 most visited country in the world, but I just feel slowly I can see how the pendulum's kind of turning a little bit, and I'm like seeing it live. Even like I said, a lot of people inside my friendship groups and people that I know have relocated to Vietnam, Bali, all these other places for their own personal reasons, which for me is just a testament to show that people are now slowly starting to, Could I see myself living there again? I could see myself going there to have a holiday, but could I see myself living there for minimum a year again, like I've done? Generally, I couldn't do that. I couldn't see myself ever coming to live in Thailand for more than 3 months, to be honest with you. Again, Thailand was my foundation. So again, there's a lot of respect that I pay to the country, and it's done a lot for me. Built my initial content there, built a lot of foundations for myself there, made a lot of friends, good connections there. But just being honest to myself, I could not see myself going back to live there for my own personal reasons, and majority of them I've mentioned in the video already. Cool. Brazil. Naquele pique então. Vambora, pô. All right, so Brazil. I lived in Rio de Janeiro for 4 months. I landed at the end of March, start of April 2025. Let's start with the pros. Brazil, wow. Brazil genuinely is the best country I've ever visited thus far in my life. Brazil just has everything and more. Let's start off with the facts, right? Geographically, Brazil has the most diverse terrain in the whole world, right? Brazil's got beaches, forests, mountains, every single thing in between. Like literally, if you've actually went on Google Maps and just looked at Brazil as a country, you just see how big it is and how diverse it is. Brazil holds the Amazon rainforest. Brazil has all of these different types of landscapes, terrain, tropical vibe, everything you name it. From a wildlife perspective, it's just crazy the amount of like beautiful nature that you can find in Brazil. All within, it's like traveling within Brazil is literally the equivalent of like moving to different countries. You know, when for someone who doesn't live in America and you hear people in America going from Chicago to Texas or from Miami to LA, you're traveling across different states, which could literally be the size of a country. It's the same exact feeling and vibe that you get being in Brazil. So let's start off with the pros. The pros that I would say about Brazil is the culture, man. Like genuinely, I have never found a culture to be just so rich and so warm. Being in Brazil, for me, is just like a melting pot of culture. Like the energy that you get from just being inside of the country, being in Brazil is crazy. People are just so on a high. I'm not saying that everyone's happy all the time and walking around, but what I am saying is that the energy and the culture there is just it's just next to none. The reason why I say that it's next to none is because you got to look at history. And this is a pro and also a con. The con is that Brazil was the last country in the world to abolish slavery. I know that because I've done my research. Brazil abolished slavery in 1888, later than America. But as a result of that, they've got the biggest mix of diverse population in the world, because they've got all these different African people that have obviously migrated that are now Brazilian. You can find Brazilians that are darker than me, my shade, and you can find Brazilians that are like the whitest shade of white and everything in between. You can find Brazilians that look indigenous, got that kind of Mexican complexion and everything in between. Brazil is just so diverse as a country. Now, obviously not because of good reason, because I've just explained slavery, all these type of things as well. But as a result, when you have such a melting pot of different cultures all blended in under one nationality, that's of course going to be the reason why the culture is so strong. Now let's talk about food. Like the average food that you'll get there, you could be walking in Brazil and you could go to a thing called a boteco, like in Rio, for example, yeah, which is just like an outdoor restaurant basically where you can just get dinner, lunch, whatever. And the standard plate of food, right? You're gonna be getting rice, steak, chips or fries, and beans, feijão, feijoada. For me, that couldn't be any better. Right? The reason why is because when you want to eat clean, you're traveling the world, or even if you're on a base off somewhere, you want to be eating in a country or in a place where the general food standard is actually good food. For example, in Thailand, a lot of the foods are cooked with things like MSG, heavy oils, noodles, which aren't really too healthy for you as well. And a lot of it is street food, which even though Thai food is good, like don't get twisted, I love me a pad kapow, massaman curry any day of the week. It's just not giving you the same amount of like from a nutrient perspective or calorie perspective. Like a lot in Thailand, you get a lot of like noodle dishes, which is just a lot of liquid, a lot of soup, liquidy base, and then a little bit of meat, a little bit of protein, pause. Compared to in Brazil, you're just having a fat steak every day with rice, with fries, with beans. Like just from a health and diet perspective, your general average plate of food in Brazil is going to be healthier than food living in Thailand. Cost of living. Is Brazil just as cheap as Thailand? No, it's not just as cheap as Thailand, and for good reason. Brazil, I would say, from my experience living there for 4 months, is about 30% cheaper compared to living in the UK. The cost of living that you can get from a culture standpoint, and not even things that are material, I'd say far outweighs the price. For example, living in Copacabana, Ipanema, Barra de Tijuca, somewhere in Rio, right? Cool, you're gonna be spending more on rent than you would do in Thailand. In Thailand, for that same 550, you get a high-rise apartment. In Brazil, you're probably getting like a 1-bed flat, traditional. You're probably not getting any nice amenities either, but it's gonna be a nice place, you know, it's gonna be obviously livable, right? It's gonna be a nice, decent 7.5. Right? Compared to Thailand, the apartments and the living situation is probably like a 9 out of 10. But in the same breath, every single thing in life is a trade-off. You have to be willing to make certain sacrifices. So right now, as I've just landed in Brazil, I'm gonna show you this in my next video. I've rented out an apartment for about 6 or 7 weeks, and it cost me £1,200, but it's nice. It's 10 minutes away from the beach. It's like in an upper middle class area in Rio. It's a very nice area, and I'll show you that in the next video. So that's how you can kind of see the cost comparison. But the culture, in my personal opinion, outweighs the cost. Because for me, being in Thailand, me living in a $550 per month apartment, it's a high rise, I've got all these fancy amenities, but I might be living in a box room. I'll get a way bigger place living in Brazil, and the culture is so much more richer. For me, people will come and talk to me. People are more extroverted, whereas Thai culture, Thai people are a bit more introverted. I'm not saying that's a pro or a con in general. I'm talking about myself. For me, I'd rather be in a place where people are more extroverted and outgoing, right? I could go to the beach right now in Brazil and I could go chill there for an hour and end up making 4 new friends, making content with 2 people, and end up playing football or foot volley or foot whatever you want to call it, where we're just kicking the ball around on the sand, just chilling, eating acai, just holding a vibe. Like for me, culture is so important. And this goes back to my point. Do you want to just stay in somewhere for a holiday vibe, to relocate for a few months, or live? If you want to stay somewhere to live, these things like culture is going to be so important for you and something that you should think about for the place you're going to consider moving to. Another pro about Brazil is that they speak Portuguese. I'm a big believer that every single person should be bilingual, right? It's very good for you to be bilingual and live in multiple different countries and speak multiple different languages. But in the same breath, what's the point of learning a language that has no utility? Why did I stop learning Thai, even though I was learning it consistently for a good 6 to 9 months? Because as soon as I got to Bangkok airport and I hopped on the plane, I'm never gonna be speaking Thai again. Do you think I've said Sawadee Cap to anybody after I've left Thailand? No. Being in Brazil, where there's like over 40 million Portuguese speakers inside Brazil because the country only speaks Portuguese, is a language that has given me utility. Because when I left Brazil and I went to Portugal, that Portuguese I've learned over the past 4 months living in Brazil, even though because of the accent, a lot of words aren't the same. It's like American English, British English, and Australian English, but you get my point. I can still bring the Portuguese I've learned over here in Brazil and bring it to Portugal, and bring that same Portuguese I've learned over this place and bring it to Mozambique, and then go and bring it to Angola, and then go and bring it to Sao Tome, and then go and bring it to Sao Tome Principe in Africa. Bring it to all these different countries, because learning Portuguese is a language of utility. So I'd give a pro to Brazil, because the language I'm learning in this country actually has utility. And even though I learn it, if I leave the country, I can still use it. And that is the main thing that I think about. Another pro to Brazil, right? Another reason why I would consider moving there as well is because Brazil has every single type of living setup that you could possibly want to have. If you're looking for something with a lot more black, African-inspired culture, you can go to Bahia, Salvador. I'm yet to go there, but I'm going to go there soon. If you're looking for more of a city vibe, entrepreneurs hub, where you want to hustle, lock in, meet new people, network, Sao Paulo. You can go there. That's a big city. It's like a London, for example, and it's massive. I haven't been there yet either, but again, it's on the list. Or if you're looking for somewhere which is rich in culture, somewhere where you can meet really great people, build some good network, and have an overall great living experience, Rio de Janeiro. You can go to Rio. You can go to Rio and literally just immerse yourself there, just like that. Brazil has every single type of living structure or setup that you could possibly want, and that comes down to the fact that the country is just massive. You can find anything, right? You can go to Floripa, Florianópolis, Jericoacoara, all these different places that you can go to inside Brazil that gives you like a whole, it's almost like stepping into a new country, right? And I'll experience that for myself when I go and visit Bahia, Salvador, when I go and visit Sao Paulo, when I go and visit Floripa, when I go and visit Fortaleza, all these different places. And another thing for me, which is a big pro to Brazil, is the actual time zone. If you've ever lived in Southeast Asia, you will know that everyone loves living in Southeast Asia until it comes down to the time zone. Because matter of the fact is, if you're making money online, if you've got clients, you're probably going to be having clients in the West, probably in the UK or in America. And both of those time zones is just a headache. From being in Southeast Asia to America is like a 10 to 12 hour time zone difference. And then from the UK to Southeast Asia is like another 5 to 7 hours. So it's just it can be quite inconvenient sometimes. And I'm not blaming Thailand for being on this time zone. I'm not blaming why you're located in this part of the world. I'm just saying that living there long term, if you're making money online and you have clients that you help or something like that, you're gonna have to really think about that. Whereas living in Brazil, which is obviously South America, North America is literally above it, so it's like what? It's like a 1 to 3 hour time zone difference from the States, and it's 4 hours behind the UK. So for me, it's wow, it's just a breath of fresh air. And for me to be able to live in a country which I don't have to be nocturnal and be like on the far end of the time zone spectrum compared to the other people that I'm talking to, working with, whatever it could be. Let's talk about danger. So a lot of people have this thing in their head and this notion that, oh, Brazil's mad dangerous, favela this and da-da-da-da-da. Let's talk about danger, right? I've lived in Brazil for 4 months. I literally just arrived like 3-4 days ago again. I will tell you firsthand that Brazil is dangerous, but Thailand's dangerous. But the UK is dangerous, but America's dangerous, but France is dangerous. Everywhere's dangerous, bro. Every single country has one dickhead who's gonna go and rob your phone. Every country has at least 1 or 10 or 100 dickheads who are gonna go and try and rob someone else's phone. Every country has someone where they just have a bad mindset and they wanna go and inflict harm or do something to someone, right? So when you look at it from a global standpoint, every country is dangerous, so that means that no country is really dangerous. Obviously that's subjective. You could go and drop me off in a war zone and it's gonna be more dangerous than me going to to Monaco, obviously, duh. But in the same breath, my point being is that don't single out individual countries and your reason for not going to live or experience there is because it's dangerous, when every single country is dangerous, right? Someone's gonna say in the comments, oh, Brazil's dangerous, they've got favelas. What? So because Brazil has slums, just like Thailand has slums, just like UK has the ends, which are basically just slums. Everywhere has a slum or a hood, whatever you want to call it, right? Now let's be subjective again. Due to politics, economy, danger, and people living in poverty is going to be different in different countries. A lot of people who have come to move to Thailand also don't talk about, I don't see no one online talking about how in Thailand, there's so many homeless people as well. In Thailand, they have their own slum as well called Klong Toi that no one really speaks about. Right next to the kind of high-rise places, you can see a high-rise building in Thailand next to a literal slum where people are living in shack. I'm not saying that that's right or wrong. I'm not saying there's anything bad about that, but I'm saying you have to look at danger from a global standpoint. Stop specifically picking out 1 to 4 countries and saying it's dangerous. Everywhere's dangerous, bro. And that's why as someone who's traveled the world at this point and someone who's been to all of these different places, you have to know how to hold your own and how to conduct yourself in any single country. Don't think that for 1 minute, just because I was in Thailand, I was any more relaxed or like, yeah, let me just leave my hotel unlocked or let me just go and walk around with my phone do you know what I'm trying to say? Like, I have a certain way that I move and a certain way that I conduct myself and how I hold myself as a young man in every single country. Even when I'm in the UK, even when I was in the Caribbean, even when I was in Miami. Doesn't matter where I am, you have to know how to conduct yourself and be self-aware. And that's how you're not going to get yourself into trouble in regardless of what part of the world, what country you're in. Does Brazil have favelas? Yes. Do people have guns? Yes. Do people have guns in the UK? Yes. And in America? Yes. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's silly. But something for me that is a bit more prevalent, and again, I don't see many people talking about this in Southeast Asia. In Southeast Asia, no one's going to run up on you who's in a gang like they would in the UK and put a knife in your face and take your phone, for example. But danger comes from road traffic. Why does no one speak about in Thailand? I have not heard anybody speak about how Thailand and other countries inside Southeast Asia are like the most dangerous in the world when it comes to road traffic. Myself, I've experienced at least a dozen road accidents living in Thailand across the last year. People crashing mopeds. I've actually seen people who have borderline lost their life being in a road accident in Thailand. People driving around with no helmet. Like, the rules there are very crazy. Not just in Thailand, but also when I was in Da Nang, Vietnam. I just feel like generally the average driving experience is a lot lower in Thailand and in Vietnam for sure. Like, people just be doing crazy driving, not safe at all, driving mopeds around without even having a wing mirror so you can't even see what's coming up behind you, overtaking people, undercutting people. Like, I've seen a lot of it, right? And anyone who's lived in Thailand or Southeast Asia will know exactly what I'm talking about because you see this stuff a lot. But nobody talks about how dangerous it is being on the roads, living in Thailand, living in Bangkok, living in Koh Samui. I'm not gonna front or lie, but I know people who have literally been in road accidents themselves. And I know other people as well who have witnessed road accidents, like someone crashing a moped and dying, bro. Like, why does no one talk about this? Like, there's so many you have to be careful. When I first moved to Thailand, I was like, yeah, let me get on the back of a Grab with no helmet. Until one time I was on the back of a Grab and I had a Grab driver, I'm pretty sure he was drunk, literally taking a piss and like swerving through the middle of the road, laughing. I'm here holding the back of the ped like a bitch, thinking, bro trying to kill me. What's going on? Can't speak Thai. He's speaking mad Thai to me. I'm like, brother, what are you doing? Do you know what I'm saying? So I'm not saying this to slate Thailand or slate Southeast Asia, but I'm just saying, if you're going to talk about danger and rule off countries based off of danger, look at every single type of danger. Again, even let's talk about this. Natural disasters. Brazil as a country is probably the safest country in the world from natural disasters. I was living in a high-rise in Thailand, 23 floors up, thinking, yeah, mum, look, I've made it, until an earthquake happened, and I'm sprinting down the stairs, and 6 months later, I still got PTSD from the blood clot earthquake, bro. Like, people need to look at danger holistically and not just think about, oh, don't go to a favela in Brazil, or don't go to this place in the UK, or don't go to the Caribbean because it's dangerous. Everywhere's dangerous, bro. So I thought I'd just mention that. All right, but cool. For me, where would I pick? If I had to pick between Brazil and Thailand, where would I pick and why? Well, you probably can tell by the end of this video, I'm definitely picking Brazil. I don't hate Thailand. I don't hate Thai people. It's nothing like that. But I'm just keeping it real. I'm just giving you my honest, raw thoughts after living in both countries for a prolonged amount of time, where I could see myself spending my future based off how I've experienced my past living in both countries. I would definitely base off in Brazil, which I'm currently doing right now and staying here long term. Thailand, not so much. I would go back there to network and meet people people, and I've got a lot of friends and networks that I built up over the past 2 years who are based around Southeast Asia. But you could not get me to stay for another year and a half living in Thailand and having to just only stay in Thailand. I just wouldn't do it. It's not me anymore. I'm not saying that you shouldn't go. I'm just saying for me, it's not for me. If I could rate them both out of 10, I would overall rate them. I'm talking about my overall experience living in these countries. I would rate Thailand a 7 and I'd rate Brazil an 8.5. The reason I'd rate Thailand a 7 is because it's got great culture, great people for the most part. And I made a lot of big experience, and I had a lot of great memories, and I made a lot of good experiences there. But at the same time, you're always just gonna be an outsider, bro. You're always gonna be an outsider. Compared to Brazil, I'd rate Brazil an 8.5 because the culture's a lot more richer. I feel like I've got a lot more return on my investment for spending time there, because if I'm staying in this country for 2 years and becoming fluent in Thai, as soon as I leave Thailand, I'm not using it. Compared to Brazil, Portuguese, I'm using that everywhere in the world, and literally all continents of the world. And overall, the vibe, I just feel like the culture is a lot stronger for me. They've got a better sense of culture. The culture is a lot more richer, and I can see myself assimilating and actually being a part of the culture of the place I'm looking to live in long term. So yeah, I hope from this video you can get a better understanding of what it's like living in both different places. I'm gonna be making a lot more videos talking about comparisons of the countries and places I've lived in and experienced, and also documenting my journey fully relocating into Brazil. As always, I hope this one was a banger and you learned something. Comment below what you thought about the video. Subscribe for more content. See you in the next one.